INCOSE certification exam. So the course, the actual course, the certification preparation course, is 4 to 5 days, depending on the number of delegates on the course. So you can appreciate we're basically going to focus on what certification is all about and what the key areas are that you will be learning on the certification course. So a bit of an introduction from me. I'm Mark Williamson. I am a SEP, INCOSE Certified System Engineering Professional, and have been since 2013. So, and have been maintained ever since for my sins. My background is ex-RAF, did 23 years in the RAF in an engineering role with avionics and ultimately in software. And my current role is Managing Director of SyntheSys Technologies, responsible for delivery of training course delivery. So I'm the primary trainer on, the only trainer for certification training, and also for system engineering foundation and requirements writing training. So that's me, effectively. SyntheSys, if you haven't come across us before, SyntheSys as an overall company has been around since 1987, based up in the lovely North Yorkshire coast in Whitby, which is a beautiful place. I'm sure Stephen will mandate. However, it is not the best place to get to. So we also have an office now in Gateshead, which we use for meetings and for training courses, etc., as we need to. So whatever's convenient. So the agenda for this short session then is really about the certification program. What does it mean to get INCOSE certification? What are the benefits or the value to the individual, to the organization that individual is part of, or to the team that maybe within that organization as well? We also look at, once you've managed to establish and pass the certification exam, then you have to maintain. If you want to maintain it, you have to renew it every either 3 or 5 years, depending on whether it's ASEP or CSEP. So I'll also briefly look at the examination format, and primarily the whole certification examination is based upon the INCOSE System Engineering Handbook. So we'll have a look at that. And the preparation course itself covers all of the technical, organizational agreement and organizational project enabling processes, cross-cutting methods, and specialty engineering activities. So I'll just highlight what those are. We're certainly not going to have the time to go through all of these or any of these actually, but just to give you an overview of what the certification program is all about and how we prepare you to pass the certification exam. Okay, so certification is really a process for recognition of those engineering skills, okay, through experience and also primarily or from familiarity with the system engineering manual. The examination is purely based on the SE handbook, the SE manual. However, to get CSEP certification, then you require to have additional skills and references and experience to provide the evidence of that certification. So if it was easy, it wouldn't have any value. So it's a balance between the academic learning the handbook and having a level of experience as well. So there are 3 levels for levels of credential for INCOSE certification. Starting off at the bottom, INCOSE ASEP, Associate System Engineering Professional. All you have to do to gain ASEP is pass the certification exam. That's it. So purely a learning exercise, a memory exercise, learning the handbook, learning the processes, learning the activities, and passing the certification exam, plus paying the nominal fee, of course, to INCOSE for the certification and for INCOSE membership. So, and then you would get INCOSE ASEP. The next level up is Certified System Engineering Professional. So this requires you to pass exactly the same exam, but then is supplemented with evidence of experience across 14 different system engineering domains, and have references and a suitable recognized degree. If you don't have a degree, then your experience level can supplement that. And then finally, the INCOSE ESEP, Expert System Engineering Professional. So this is the top flight. This is where there's no examination for ESEP. This is based on having 25 years of system engineering experience and having a leadership fellowship role, really. And to gain ESEP, it's an interview process, much as it is for CEng, IEng, things like that. So that's the 3 levels: ASEP, CSEP, and ESEP. The certification exam is focused on the ASEP and ASEP and CSEP. So these are the levels I've just explained. INCOSE ASEP at the top, no experience required, no education required, no references required, just pass the exam. For CSEP, minimum of 5 years SE experience, and I'm going to go into a list of functions that you need to have experience of, and then a technical degree or additional years of experience without that technical degree. And you also need 3 references across that period as well. ESEP, no exam, all down to experience. It requires a technical degree or supplemental experience, and the same 3 references as before. ASEP, CSEP, and ESEP. So most of the delegates we find are either just starting their journey, have no previous experience at all, and we've had many, many delegates without any system engineering knowledge whatsoever, just attend the course, do some self-study on the material that we provide, and then pass the exam and get their ASEP certification. So many others are established engineers, have been in system engineering for 5, 10, 15 years, but have never just really got around to doing any formal certification. So that's the second level of people that we get on regularly on our training courses. So these are the functional areas that you need to have experience in, at least 5 years of SE experience, and the usual topics you might expect: requirements engineering, technical planning, architecture, design, development, verification, validation, training, integration, quality assurance, speciality, etc. So a wide range of things. And on the application process, you can effectively go through and tick the boxes online that you believe you're got experience of, and then you need to provide evidence of that within your references. So, and INCOSE do check this. Certainly when I originally applied for my CSEP and provided all my references and experience and evidence, they did come back to me and say, oh, can you provide us some more evidence on this particular topic? So again, if it was easy, it wouldn't have any value. So it's good to see that they have that level of due diligence before they just award the certification to delegates. So again, a bit of an overlap between ASEP, CSEP, and ESEP on this little sort of Venn diagram. So if you're on the sort of left side of that diagram, we're sort of really purely knowledge-based, then you're looking to look at more aligned with the ASEP. If you've got a certain level of experience in education, then obviously CSEP's more appropriate. Or if you're in a leadership sort of position, then ESEP is the one to go for. But most 99% of people are in ASEP or CSEP area. So what does certification mean for an individual? What is the value for any of you individual delegates coming and getting trained and getting certified? Well, first of all, it formally recognizes system engineering capabilities, the skills that you've got, maybe on your CV or whatever, but you've got a formal designation of ASEP or CSEP on your name, on your CV. So if you're looking for a new role, looking to change job or whatever, then it provides a discriminator for job applicants. So if you've got a CSEP or ASEP certification and another candidate doesn't, then that's just a differentiator for you to say, I've got this, I've taken the necessary steps, I've done the learning, and I've committed to the personal development to maintain it. So it's a great discriminator. So can provide a competitive advantage in your career, definitely. And it doesn't matter what domain you're in, whether you're in aerospace and defense, or whether you're in rail, transport, whether you're in energy. It doesn't matter which engineering domain you're in. The designation is common across all of those domains. It's an INCOSE certification rather than a particular domain certification. So, and as I mentioned earlier, by having to commit to continuing education on those personal development units, which I'll come to in a couple of minutes, then it indicates your commitment and your intention to grow and develop your skills. For organizations, so for the organizations, for the companies that you perhaps work for, then it formally recognizes that element as a staff. So when an organization is perhaps submitting a tender or a bid for some work, and they provide the CVs of the staff, and they've got ASEP or CSEP certification, that acts as a differentiator for your proposals, and that shows a commitment from your organization to sustain and develop your staff. Okay. It is an independent external assessment. The examination is completely external. It is now done online, which is quite handy. Up until last April, it was at a Prometric examination centre, one in London and one in Manchester, but now it's done online. So, but it is an external independent assessment, nothing to do with INCOSE itself. So, and again, encourages participation in continuing education going forward, and that's a fairly standard approach for for many other engineering organizations like IMechE and IET, etc. for C-Eng and I-Eng. Teams. So the value for the certification for within teams is it means it level sets the concepts and activities. All of the team members know exactly or working off the same book, if you like. So so everybody knows the processes, the activities, the elements they need to do. Common language for the team, for your team, and helps break down geographic boundaries, organizational boundaries, and cultural boundaries, because the level setting here is on the handbook itself. So the certification value for teams, for the organizations you work for, and for you individually themselves as well. So the process flow, how do we go about getting certified? Well, the first thing you need to do is select what level is correct for you. So ASEP, CSEP, or ESEP. So if you're going to go for ESEP, then obviously you've got decades of experience, and you probably don't need to come and listen to me talk about the handbook for a week because there's no examination. But select the level that's correct, and then apply for that level. And now INCOSE UK have a mechanism now where it's all submitted online. So you fill in the reference forms, you provide the evidence, you pay the fee, of course, to INCOSE. And worth noting, to get INCOSE certified, you also need to be an INCOSE member. So once you've got a membership, and then you pay your certification application fee, then you're good to do the exam. Once you've got the certification, then you need to maintain it. Okay, so depending on if you're ASEP or CSEP, it will depend on 3 years or 5 years. So you need to commit to ongoing professional development, but that sounds probably worse than it actually is. There's probably lots of factors in your everyday work that will qualify for the PDUs you need to do. And certainly in the 10 years I've been a CSEP now, I've never had any issue managing to accrue my 120 personal development units to recertify each time. So yeah, it's a 5-year cycle for ASEP. So you need to renew it every 5 years, or for an ASEP, or if you're a CSEP, it's every 3 years. So you need to provide a PDU log. So, and then I would suggest you do this, you accumulate, maintain your PDU log as you go along. I'm the worst offender here, and I end up getting to the end of my 3 years and then trying to work out what I've done for the last 3 years. So I end up trying to fill it all in. But again, it's not too big an issue, really. So that's the process flow for certification. You have two options as well. You can actually do the exam first, get the tick in the box, pass the exam and get awarded the ASEP. Or if you want to apply for CSEP, you can do all of your submission first of your evidence and your references and your expertise and your degree if necessary. Do that and then do the examination afterwards. I would always recommend just get the exam first, because then you've got ASEP before you need to, straight out of the box, and then you can then submit the your evidence and references for CSEP, and then that would just get upgraded from ASEP to CSEP. So you have the option, but I would recommend just get the exam first, because then you've actually got something physically to take to your employer and say, look what I've got. Yeah. So yeah, I've covered this already. ASEP every 120 personal development units every 5 years, and of course you have to maintain your INCOSE membership for that whole period. CSEP 120 PDUs over 3 years. So a little bit more to ask of the CSEPs than the ASEPs, but that sort of relates to the level of experience and the type of work that a CSEP would generally be doing over maybe a new graduate or somebody new to system engineering who doesn't have that level of expertise. Okay. There are a whole raft of PDU units that you can utilize to maintain your certification. So, and just by being an INCOSE member, which you have to be to maintain it anyway, you're getting 5 PDUs per year, so 15 PDUs over 3 years. So you're well on your way already. So, and then there's lots of activities like Professional Technique Society, local event, chapter presentation exhibits. I don't know if anyone is aware, but within INCOSE itself, there are a raft of technical groups and working groups which you can join, which you can contribute to, which you can engage with, and gain that industry expertise from those particular groups, and then utilize those for your PDUs. So personally, I'm a member of the Automotive Working Group and the Real Interest Group. So I regularly, when I've got time, attend meetings, presentations, workshops for those, and that all accumulates towards my PDU count for the 3 years. So perform leadership role. So again, no limit on that one. So if you're actually providing that role at a local, national, international level, you can claim 1 PDU hour for every hour of effort that you commit to that with no limit. So if you're active in that sort of environment, or maybe at INCOSE level, for example, then you can accumulate lots of PDUs. STEM is a really interesting one at the moment, and certainly something we at SyntheSys are very keen on doing that. Our MD, John Hartis, Stephen's dad, has been doing exactly that at a local school lately, and we have other members of our company that actively participate in STEM, or STEAM as it's sometimes called as well now. So yeah, you can claim PDUs for that as well. So, and then if you do any other exam, SE relevant exam-based certification other than SEP, again, 5 PDUs for certification. So that's sort of technical participation categories. Lots of things there that you can participate in to gain your PDUs. If you're more in an academic role, so SE coursework, by doing a technical graduate level course, attending tutorials or seminars, actually teaching professional development, but not part of your job function. So then there's lots of PDUs to be had there. Write and publish SE article, another one, and write and publish SE book. So that's there's lots of PDUs to be had there. I don't know what the level of expertise is within the quorum on our session today, but certainly we've had some of the employees in our company at SyntheSys have written a number of requirements management books, etc. So in the past. So that's coursework and publication category, and then the next one is like patents awards. So if you've submitted any patents and receive a patent award, 10 PDUs per award. This is one that I tend to accrue lots of my points on. Serve as a designated lead system engineer for a system, product, or service. So for many years, I was developing a particular product within SyntheSys, and I managed to accrue 45 PDUs every time for that. So that's another one. And this is where I sit fairly firmly, lead organization to increase INCOSE engineering certification. So both internally to SyntheSys, where we have a good take up of this, and also externally. So lots of things there to PDUs. Okay, 20 minutes. So The INCOSE handbook, I wonder how many people have actually got this sat on the shelf. So, but this system engineering handbook is the only source material for the examination. So when you actually get into the certification exam, that 2-hour 120 question exam, the only source material for that exam is the handbook. And the system engineering handbook is based upon the INCOSE, the IEC 15288 2015 standard. Now, I will say at this point that this handbook has been around for 9 years now, 8-9 years now, is being replaced at some point this year. I'm hearing sort of June, July time. So it will go to INCOSE Handbook version 5, and then the certification exam will change to reflect the content within the new handbook. So we haven't got a confirmed release date yet that I'm aware of, and there will probably be an overlap period anyway, as there was when they went from version 3 to version 4. So this is the handbook. We provide one of these for you as part of the training material. On the training course, we provide the handbook, which is obviously all the reference material. We provide a nice, thick, meaty slide pack of 400 odd slides. And we also provide, at the end of the training, a question set, 700 or 800 sample questions that have been accumulated by over many certification courses. So this is the main source for the examination. The examination format is a 2-hour examination. As I said, it is now online. It's an online proctored exam. So they make sure you haven't got your camera on and sort of documents open and file sharing and things like that. So it's a proctored online exam. A mixture of 1, 2, and 3 answer questions. So it'll be which 2 of the 5 or which 3 of the 5 or which one of the following is not type questions. And yeah, as I said earlier, if it was easy, it wouldn't have any value. So, for CSEP to be appropriately recognized, questions aren't difficult, but they are not trick questions. It just really assesses your understanding of the system engineering handbook, the processes, the activities, and the material within the handbook. It's not a test of system engineering principles or reference standards, so it's really just a test of that book, effectively. But you need to be able to recognize key phrases and the language of the system engineering handbook. And I will caveat that I say the book is largely written in American English. It's largely written by American authors, though there is a selection across Europe as well. So I would just say, be very careful when reading the questions. Read the questions and read the question again. But you do need to have a thorough understanding of each process and the interfaces to other processes. And that sounds like a big ask, but I think what we find is as we understand the position in the life cycle of all the individual processes, then it makes pretty good sense which ones are inputs and which ones are outputs. And I'll explain that more as we go forward. Okay. Apologize to the attendees we had this morning. So this is the same system lifecycle processes as per the ISO standard 15288. So for the CSEP ASEP certification, you need to know every single one of these processes: technical management, agreement, and project enabling processes. So we start off in no particular order, but generally at the top hand left side of the V, if you like, the business and mission analysis process, which really identifies what the needs and wants are for the system being proposed effectively. Then that gets derived into stakeholder needs and requirements within the requirements definition process. So the first stage of requirement, actually writing formal requirements at a stakeholder level. And then those get derived then into system requirements definition process, translating those user stakeholder level requirements into system level requirements. So the system shall do X effectively. Once we have the system requirements output, system requirement specification, We know exactly what the system has to be able to do, what it's going to be able to do, but not how it's going to do it. So we then go into architecture definition and come up with some candidate architectures, all of which will meet the system requirements, but maybe we'll do it in different ways. So that's the architecture definition process. Once we've selected an architecture, then the actual design can take place and we can translate the what into the how in design. System analysis process doesn't happen in any particular sequence or order. It's just a process that can be called at any point in the life cycle where we need to do some analysis. So system analysis process, implementation process, implementing or manufacturing the individual system element. And in the integration process, we will integrate those individual system elements together through whatever type of integration, top down, bottom up, big bang approach that is appropriate for the system. Verification and validation sort of certainly occur in parallel right across the life cycle. So we've got verification. Are we building the product correctly? Are we building it to specification? And validation, are we building the right product? Or are we actually translating those stakeholder needs and wants into the correct system? So maintenance process. Maintenance process is operation process is operating that system in its intended environment, and the maintenance process is maintaining that system through its intended life cycle. And for a lot of military applications and ships, for example, that process can be, that life cycle can be 25, 30, 40 years. So the operation maintenance process, the big significant element in the life cycle cost. And then finally, the disposal process. How are we going to dispose of this system at the end of its intended life cycle? So something we need to consider right at the concept when doing our concept documents, rather than waiting for the end of the life cycle and say, well, how do we get rid of this, really? So it needs to be designed into the to the system. So that's the technical processes. As you can see, there's 14 of those. So from a process point of view, it's fairly common sense or fairly obvious that a large percentage of the examination will be on the technical processes alone, just by the virtue there's more often than anything else. So technical processes, the backbone of the certification exam. Then we go on to the technical management processes, project planning. So for those of you who've heard of the term SEP, System Engineering Management Plan, this is a process that produces that SEP. So, and the SEP should dictate or detail what system engineering effort should be deployed and executed on this system, on this project, and also how we can tailor it. So which activities, which processes, tailor it appropriately for the level of complexity of that system. Once it's up and running, then we need to assess and control that. So that's all about maintaining measurements of how many meetings you've had, how many review meetings you've had, how many critical design reviews you've had, how many test procedures you've executed. So we can actually feed that back into a constant improvement process for system engineering processes. The decision management process is all about making decisions at appropriate points in the life cycle. The decision gates or stage gates, as we call them. So how do we make that decision? What are the parameters for that? What are the references we should have for making those decisions in a consistent way across the life cycle? Risk management, fairly obvious. How do we manage the impact of failure, the likelihood and the impact of any defects or failures happening? And that applies right across the life cycle, from assessment of requirements through to assessment of design, through to test cases and test plans. What is the impact of making that change? What is the impact of something failing? And how can we mitigate that by perhaps tailoring or trading out some requirements or some design to minimize that risk? And then configuration management process, as I think I said this morning, is sometimes considered a necessary evil. It's It sometimes tends to get in the way of actually getting the job done, but it's really, really, I cannot stress how critical it is that configuration management is taken seriously, that documents are placed under appropriate configuration control and change management. The impact of operating or working off the wrong drawing, the wrong set of requirements, the wrong baseline is dreadful for a project, and the consequence of rework can be very, very expensive. So, information management process, yeah, we've got lots of processes here. We've got lots of data being generated. We've got lots of information being exchanged. So the information management process is really an IT function related to all the regulations and laws we have to maintain information for certain periods of time in email history and document history, for example. So information management process, an IT function generally. Measurement process, I touched upon this with the project assessment and control. So measurement process, all about collecting metrics of the execution of your system engineering lifecycle to identify where we can improve, where we can identify if there's anything going wrong, looking for leading indicators for progress, for example. So, and feeding that back into continual system engineering process improvement. And finally, on technical management processes, the quality assurance process. So how do we ensure as we execute the system engineering processes and activities that we're going to produce a quality product and a product that's fit for purpose and complies with the organization quality management standard, may that be ISO 9001, whatever. Okay, that's technical management processes. Agreement processes, acquisition and supply, two sides of the same coin. So really quite a short section in the handbook, but it just really deals with the concept of how organizations may need to go out and acquire products or acquire components, which they would then integrate and then supply another product out. So depending where you are in the system engineering procurement cycle, that could be from a system engineering, a system engineer's perspective, that would generally be providing the advice and support to the procurement teams to drive, for example, invitations to tender or requests for proposals and reviewing that as it comes back in. So all about establishing the contract. And then on the organizational level, project enabling processes, we need to have a definition of our lifecycle models. Which lifecycle model are we going to have in our tool bag ready to roll out on the next project or the wrong system? So they may well be agile, they may be lean, they may well be incremental and iterative, they may be plan-driven, sequential, and different types of lifecycle models that have been predefined at the organizational level to meet certain types of projects. So that's lifecycle model management process. Infrastructure management is all about the bricks and mortar that we need as an organization. What test facilities do we need? What development facilities do we need? Do we need any specific environmental chambers or anything like that? Bricks and mortar, effectively, labs, all of the stuff that your organization needs to have to be able to execute a system engineering process. So, portfolio management process, something that a lot of people probably won't get involved in, and this is all about just maintaining a portfolio of contracts that are going to have to meet the organizational goals, you know, financially, commercially, effectively. So portfolio management tends to sit at sort of chief financial officer type level. However, I think the system engineer can provide certainly expertise in supporting that process. Human resource management, having the right people with the right skills, fundamentally, and getting your staff and getting yourselves through INCOSE certification may be a means to supporting that human resource management process within your organization. Quality management process, then as I mentioned earlier, how do we ensure that the organization is going to pass its ISO 9001 quality audit to make sure it's continued to do business effectively? And last but not least, knowledge management process. This was a new process in the last handbook, in the last version of the standard, and it really is critical. So often we hear of, certainly with small organizations, where all of the knowledge is in one or two people's heads, and then they decide they've won the lottery in the weekend, or they decided to retire early, or worse still, step in front of a bus or something, but they don't come into work on Monday morning. So the impact on that, on the business, with that loss of knowledge, if you don't capture it within some sort of knowledge management process, may it be a wiki or work instructions or whatever, can be quite fundamentally disastrous to an organization. So knowledge management, really, really important. And I think something will probably be expanded on in the next version of the handbook. So that's the processes. We've got about 10 minutes or so left. So I talked a lot about processes. So this is what we call an input process output diagram, an IPO diagram. So all of the processes I've just highlighted all have an IPO diagram. So we have a number of activities, we have a number of enablers and controls, and a number of inputs and a number of outputs. So an example of that is this is the IPO diagram for business or mission analysis process. The controls and enablers are no longer actually identified on the diagram. They're all now listed in the back of the handbook because pretty much they're the same for every process. But we have a number of activities that we're going to do, and we have a number of inputs that are going to stimulate those activities, and those activities will produce some outputs. So for the INCOSE certification exam, you need to know what the inputs, outputs, and activities are for every process. And more so, you need to know where the processes are interfaced or where they link to. But what you tend to find is most of the outputs here of the business and mission analysis process will be inputs to the stakeholder requirements and definition. The outputs to the stakeholder requirements definition will be inputs to the system requirements and definition. So once you get an awareness of where the process fits within the system engineering lifecycle, then it makes pretty good sense what they are. So inputs, activities, and outputs is a key element of the certification exam. So finally, two other elements within the handbook that are accessible within the exam are cross-cutting methods. These are methods that actually don't fit in with any one specific technical management process, but they sit outside of that, but well, they're cross-cutting effectively than that. So modeling and simulation, model-based system engineering. We hear a lot about model system engineering at the moment. As I'd say probably one of the fastest growing areas of system engineering is MBSE. And how that relates to linking up the life cycle, linking up requirements, linking up with deriving testing as well. So MBSE we cover in that. Functional-based system engineering method is another one we cover. Object-oriented system engineering method, prototyping, interface management, and integrated product process development are all cross-cutting methods, which we will cover within the handbook on the training course. Okay. And finally, the last element of the handbook that we cover are the specialty engineering activities, the things that are very specialized, and some people spend their whole life just doing one level of this. So cost effectiveness, life cycle cost analysis, environment engineering, logistics engineering, or what I would call in the Air Force time, a supply. So mass properties engineering analysis. So mass and moment, if you're developing systems on ships or aircraft, then mass properties engineering analysis is a specialty activity pertinent to that. Manufacturing and producibility analysis. So this is an interesting one. So when we're deriving requirements at the stakeholder and system level, we may not have any concept of how this actually going to be produced. So quite often we'll have those lovely requirements flow right through into design, and then a manufacturing and producibility analysis specialist will say, oh no, that won't work. You can't make that. You can't build that. So another specialty one. Interoperability analysis and electromagnetic compatibility analysis. There are more. Reliability, availability, maintainability. I'm sure some of these will be very recognizable to most of you. System safety engineering, massive area, multiple areas of hazard analysis that are covered on that. Usability analysis, human factors, human factor information, all of that good stuff, is usability analysis. Training needs analysis, one I'm very familiar with on various occasions. Value engineering and resilience engineering. So that's basically a very quick walk through the content that will be covered over the space of the 4 or 5 days on the training course. The way we handle the training course is that we sort of follow a method of the student does it, then we debrief that, and then I cover them all. So when we go through all those processes, we'll allocate those processes out to either individuals or groups of individuals on the course. They'll work through those processes, answer some topical questions provided in the workbooks that we provide, and then we'll debrief those all individually, and then I go through all of them again, then pulling out the key elements that may have been missed. So it's a case of do, learn, repeat, and that seems to work very well. The other element that we do at the end of each day, and I don't want to scare you all off, but there is some homework. So at the end of the homework, so at the end of each day, I ask all the students to go away and provide 5 questions, 5 sample questions on the topics that we've covered within that day. The following morning, then we review all of those questions, and I'll provide advice or indication whether that will be a suitable question or whether it's not a suitable question. The mechanism also captures the reference for each of those questions. So at the end of that week, I will amalgamate all of the pertinent and related questions into a question bank that I've accumulated over many CSEP training courses, and I will send that out as a training material, so having 800 or 900 questions, sample questions to practice and revise once the course is finished and prior to doing the examination. So that's a little bit of a walk around how it's done. So we do have remaining course dates. We bill it as a 5-day course. It depends really how many there is on the course. If there's 12 or 13 people on the course, by the time we do all of the exam recovery and review questions, it can take 5 days. If there's only 5 or 6 on the course, then we probably do it in 4 days, but I can let you know as and when that course runs. The course running on the 2nd, the 5th of May is guaranteed to run at the moment. I do have the necessary quorum of people to run that course, and it will be running at the think tank at Lincoln University campus on the 2nd to 5th of May. So if you've got some capacity to attend that, please let us know, and we'll get you on that course. The rest of the courses are penciled in. We do have some significant interest in these at the moment, but again, it needs to be commercially viable to run. So I'm being honest with you here. If I haven't got a quorum of people to justify the course, then we would just roll it into the next one. Okay. And just to make you aware, anybody attending this webinar this afternoon will get a 10% discount on attendance on any of these courses. And if there's multiple attendees from any of your organizations attending a course, then we'll offer an additional 10% discount as well. So please feel to reach out, contact us. That's our web address, and our email, CET, Customer Engagement Team at synthesys.co.uk, and we'll be very happy to discuss how we can take you on your INCOSE certification journey. And I don't know if there's any questions, Sarah, in the list.
Yeah, I think one from Gordon on your earlier points about PDUs, I believe it related to. Gordon jumped in there and asked specifically, I'm not sure exactly which the point related to, but it was post-nominals as well. I don't know if, Gordon, you want to elaborate on that?
It was on the question of the benefits to individual. My understanding is that you also get post-nominals.
Yeah, you could put ASEP or CSEP. As well as INCOSE, member of INCOSE, you can also add ASEP or CSEP to your name.
Is the INCOSE just for UK, or is it for worldwide as well, Mark?
If you're a member of INCOSE, you're a member of INCOSE worldwide, not INCOSE UK.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Is there any other questions? I can't see the Q&A.
No, that was it, unless I want to give a minute or two for people to reach out, but nothing's come throughout the session.
Just one for me again, Mark. Sorry. Is your training course, is that online, in person or remote?
In person.
In person.
Yeah, we have done and will do the introduction to the SE course, which we discussed this morning, online. But that's manageable online. But I'm firmly of the opinion that there's so much material involved within, material within this book. It's on my desk every day. So there's so much material, and I think it's necessary really to get the human interaction and the discussion between different delegates and the different experiences. I only do the SEP course as either an on-site or a public course. And to be fair, actually, last year I did many more on customer sites than I did actually public courses, because purely the commercials of an organization sending 5 or 6 people is much more economical for me to come to them than them all to travel and stay for a week in Lincoln. Simon, question, when will the next training in London? Well, that is largely dependent on the delegates who wish to do it. So if Transport for London wanted to send, do 5 or 6 people, then I would come and do one in London at your convenience. So. Any more?
Sorry, just
Yeah.
Just one question from me. Oh,
Go ahead, Moise.
sorry. Just was about to ask. Is the 10% discount applicable to people to today's attendees? Is it applicable for the May session only, or for the other ones as well?
Any of the courses this year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just one more question. What is the minimum number of people required if you have to have for you to do a course on site?
I would say probably 5 or 6 per year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I've actually been into Saffron before to do an iMac-E delivery. So I don't know if it's the same site, but yeah, I've been into Saffron before. So yeah, I mean, it's just basically if it's a 4 or 5 day course, it has to be viable for me to deliver that for the week. So yeah, I will say it's a better learning experience the more people there are on the course, because you get the different expertise and the different experiences. But I would say 5 or 6 is probably the minimum to be able to cover off all of the technical processes and technical management processes, etc. So,
Understand, yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the usual strength of the normal classroom sessions you run? Is it about 20 or?
Oh, sorry, say again, Priya.
The normal classroom sessions, what is the strength?
The
How many
numbers.
people normally? Yeah, numbers. How many people normally
Numbers.
attend?
Yeah, we can do. We've had courses from 6 people up to 13, 14. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Question from Sandip. There was it. Was it in the chat or was it the questions?
It's in the chat there.
In the chat, yeah. One question is, do we get the questions from the processes? Do we get the questions from the processes?
Which we just saw in the presentation.
I'm not sure I understood your question, Sandip, but the questions on the exam are all based upon the processes within the System Engineering Handbook. Does that answer your question? No answer.
I think Sandip was having a little bit of trouble with audio when we first came on the call.
A question from Alfonso. which are the main chapters? You mean from the handbook, Alfonso?
May I ask the question here by voice?
Yeah.
Much better,
Please.
much quicker. No, I'm after knowing which are the chapters that weigh more in the exam questions. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. So I mean as I mentioned earlier, the processes section, the technical management agreement and organizational project enabling are the biggest part of the book. Over half of the book is in processes, a bit more than half of the book. So it stands to reason that the bulk of the exam will be on those processes. But anything in the handbook can be assessed. So all of the cross-cutting methods, all the specialty engineering activities, the section on tailoring can all be assessed. So anything within the handbook.
Okay, thank you.
Sandip is just in messaging again. In ASEP exam, do we get the questions from the process? The questions are based upon the processes. Yes. Better type it in. Questions are based on the material. Okay. I'm not sure what problem Sandip's having with this audio, but someone's got their hand up. Simon, you have a question?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah. So yeah, very quick one. I mean, am I right to say that there will be a new handbook coming out very soon? I mean, if there is a new handbook coming out, obviously I don't really know what will be the changes. So I mean, during the transition, we'll if people get the training how to get this year, and then before they actually take the exam, the new handbook comes out. Will the examination based on the new handbook or the existing one?
Yeah.
Just wondering.
So yeah, I touched on this earlier, Simon.
Okay.
There is a new handbook will be released sometime in the summer. We're told. Now they did say that when the version 4 came out, and it was about a year later. But I can't guarantee when it will be released. But there will be a handover period. There will be a period where the current handbook examination will run till perhaps Christmas or something like that, I think. But what I would say, though, and I say to all my students on this is, please do the preparation course, read the book again, at least once, or at least the areas which you're least confident on. Go through the sample questions that I will provide to you following the training course, and then book and do the exam. I would say no later than a month, if not earlier, after doing some. Otherwise, you'll just lose the impetus and probably never get done. So I would just say if you're going to do the exam in the next, do the course in the next 2 scheduled courses, you get the exam done straight away, and then you're good anyway.
So just to confirm on that, Mark, then the July would be based on the existing handbook. Your course would be based.
Yeah, all the courses that we've got scheduled for the rest of this year are on the current SE handbook version 4, because we don't know when it's going to be released and what the handover is going to be. So
Right, okay.
Yeah, it'll be probably a good 6 weeks of work for me to rework the current course into the new handbook, because it's not a case of adding new stuff, it's taking stuff out that's been removed as well. So yeah, it'll be a nice interesting summer holiday for me when I extract the version 4 and insert version 5.
Indeed.
Yeah.
What happens then, just a general question, if you're working in a company that's not following the handbook and they've introduced different processes, you've got to really unlearn everything and then learn it according to the handbook. Is that going to be difficult for a lot of people? Is that your experience?
No, in my experience, what I've seen is that a lot of organizations don't have any real structure.
Right.
So yeah, and then you got people coming on the course, and well, it's two extremes. Some people come and say, "Oh no, we could never do all that. It'd be far too expensive. We'd never get anything done." And then we get other people come and says, "Oh my goodness, why do we not know about this before? We should have been doing this all the time." So and I've had a similar sort of experience with on the introduction course. I was with an automotive company last year, and did the SE training course of the 2 days. And at the end of the first day, one of the guys went running off to the production line. "We need to be doing this." So he was so enthused with it. So I think Gordon, there's two sides to it all. I mean, there's some organizations are very regulatory compliant, and others don't have much of a structure around SE. So this is just a good mechanism for installing those processes at whatever level is required for the execution of those projects.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Alfonso's just got another question there, which is the minimum mark for passing the exam.
The $1 million question. I don't think anybody really knows. I know that people got their wrists slapped a little while ago for actually saying what the pass mark is. It's sort of estimated that it's around 80%, but I cannot say what that is or not. If you've prepared correctly, if you've done the course, if you've read the book, and you've done some sample questions, then you will have no problem passing the examination. Absolutely. And my claim to fame, and I'm going to touch wood here now, is that no one that has done my certification preparation course and taken the exam has failed it to this day. So if you do manage to fail it, don't tell me, so I can still maintain that little little ditty.
Do we get our money back? Sorry.
Well, what we have said is, if you do fail the exam, we'll allow you to come back and do another course for free. So you're not going to give you your money back, but we won't charge you to attend again should you want to.
That's very fair.
Yeah. Okay. Any more? Okay, I will look forward to meeting you some. Oh, I see. Howie's in the meeting. You're already one of my victims. I didn't see you in there, Howie.
Hello, Mark.
Hi, Howie. So, are you looking to attend again?
No, not anytime soon.
No.
Just wanted to refresh.
Good refresh. Okay, so
yeah,
I'm glad to see Howie has been successful. One of my successful candidates. So good luck, and hope everybody at Siemens is doing well.
Yes.